can't our minority young men go to an HBCU, get a great education, and graduate and play great college football? Be in an environment to where they can grow as young men on and off the field and be prepared to go play and chase their goals in the National Football League, because we create the right environment. Why can't they do that?
There's an 80% chance, and that's the numbers that can back it, that person playing football or probably basketball is going to be an African American or a minority.
So,
but the truth of the matter is, there is a high percentage chance that the person that's coaching that person at the next level, whether college or professionally, that it's not going to be a black person that's going to coach you.
for sure.
Not for me. Like, I ain't never had no black coach.
I didn't change more since you didn't.
You know what I'm saying? Like, when I think about it, I'm talking about quarterback coach. I'm talking about offensive coordinator. I'm talking about head coach. Outside of Ron Rivera, he's not black. He's a minority, though. And I'm grateful for him because, bro, I need somebody that can at least understand where I'm coming from.
Sure.
And that helps with how you talk. But not only how you talk, it's the tone.
For sure.
Man, I had a situation, and this was one of my favorite coaches of all time, Mike Shula. He was my quarterback coach, ended up being my offensive coordinator during that 2015 year. And boy, he said something to me, boy, and that nigga came out.
Word, nigga came out?
No.
Oh, okay.
No, that nigga came out of me.
No, for sure.
Right?
Gotcha.
Now, when I first moved to Charlotte, there was a narrative around Cam that, man, he a sore loser, a crybaby. He is a soaker, you know what I'm saying? And people didn't understand I was not used to losing. I was at Florida, won a national championship. Went to junior college, won a national championship. Went to Auburn, won a national championship. So now my rookie year, it's like, bro, it's either championship or
a winner.
That's it. So it was hard for people to understand why the fuck this motherfucker is not talking at press conferences and shit like that. It's like, bro, I came here to win. Fuck all the money, fuck all the publicity, bro. I'm a winner, dog. It was undefeated or failed.
Straight up.
So the motherfucker said something along the line, motherfucker, stop all that goddamn whining and shit too. And what people don't know is, not just during the press conferences, bro, it's Tuesday, Wednesday. Like, I was a terrible teammate in regards to that because I didn't talk to nobody. I'll be quiet as fuck. Like, literally walking around the facility, nigga, we lost on Sunday. Nobody really heard from me on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. They putting the game plan, and I'm still fucking mad that we lost, you know what I'm saying? Not knowing how to process my emotions, right? Yeah. So when he said that, it came from a frustrating part for him. It's like, motherfucker, I'm your coach. How can I'm supposed to be your spokesperson in the big offices to tell the other coaches how you feel, blah, blah, blah. So I can understand how he was feeling at that particular point in time. But that triggered me in a way where it's like, hold on, coach. First off, these are the first words of the week that I done came out and said. I said, coach, bro, my own daddy don't even talk to me like that. So I'd be goddamn if I let you talk to me like that. So you better understand this here. If I ever hear you utter that type of tone, I see what you tried or is trying to do, but that ain't how you deal with me. Going to your point of, you got to know how to talk and your tone with the individual that you're working with.
Right.
And to that individual, you cannot be pigeonholed, because I will admit that I was not the best professional. And a lot of us, when I say us, I'm talking about cultural people, black people that are in these positions. Everybody may not have the clout to be able to be quiet for multiple days.
Right.
I was the franchise player. I could do that.
Right.
What was it right? No. I'm saying to you that it wasn't right, but also understanding that through this situation, I bettered myself, and I know I bettered him as a coach.
All right. Good morning. Welcome. Today's July 21st, 2024, 411 Sports World Show. I'm Mr. 411. And as always, with me is Hot Tub Tony. What's going on, Hot Tub?
What's going on, Russ?
Man, another beautiful day, man. Glad to
Yes,
have you
sir.
aboard. All right. Look, make sure you do all the following good stuff. Make sure you hit the subscribe button on YouTube, 411 Sports World Network. Make sure you follow us on TikTok, Mr. 411, MisterFourone. Mr. 411. Same thing on Instagram, Mr. 411. We appreciate you doing those things. All right, as you can already tell, we're off and running. We already played the video there with Cam Newton, and basically today's topic, one of our topics for today, and the first one we're going to tackle is that video of Cam Newton as he was expressing the lack of black coaching throughout his career, and obviously this is from his perspective, and we're going to dive into that, and then we're also going to talk about, is it the end of an era when it comes to sports, the sports talk era with Skip Bayless about to be, his time is up now with Fox and FS1 network and his Starship show that he had. So we'll see what that is. The Undisputed show is that's now fading away real soon. So that's what we're going to tackle today. Welcome and Hot Tub. You heard what Cam had to say. Give me your initial thoughts, and then we'll dive deeper into it.
I mean, I agree totally with what Cam said. It's less about whether a white head coach can coach black athletes. We know they can, but culturally, they don't connect with those athletes most of the time, and that's been a problem. Now, in the SEC, you see they have zero black head coaches, but over half of their assistant coaches are black. And that's where the connection comes with the athletes. Those are the ones that deal with those athletes on a day-to-day basis, who build those connections to get the most productivity out of those athletes. And that's to be expected. Culturally, they know how to approach them. They know how to talk to them. They know if that student's having, if that athlete's having a bad day, they know how to channel that anger that he has into the field and the game itself, as opposed to lashing out on the sideline, lashing out at the staff or whatever, what may come. And that's something that's never talked about. Most people don't even address that. Is that you do need to have black coaches in there, especially when a team is majority black. And I know a lot of people may give a little pushback, say, well, I don't think race should play a factor in coaching the kid. And yes, it does. That Cam expressed something that was very important that I don't think everybody caught. From the time he was in Pop Warner, AAU, you know, he came up being coached by people that looked like him, and they were able to get the most production out of him. But when he came to the pros and he was met with some adversity, where the coaching staff had to come in and basically talk with him and get him to calm down, get him to basically go out there and talk to the press and how to talk to the press. They couldn't do that. You know, they couldn't get him to quote unquote act right, and that's because of the cultural disconnect that goes on between them. And you starting to see this, especially in this new age of the NIL, the NIL era. You're starting to see a mass retirement of old white coaches. That was started by Nick Saban because they realized these kids are making money now, and that was a problem that Nick Saban ran into in the NFL. How do you coach somebody who makes more than you? How do you talk to that person who really has no incentive other than winning games? He's already got his contract. How do you get him to follow your lead, especially if he doesn't respect you? He doesn't respect your approach, and that's where you come in at. Because the black coach, in my opinion, the black coach is gonna come at that player less like a coach, more like a father, and you can't get that father figure, fatherly advice from a white coach because culturally you don't know how to parent a black child. And there's nothing wrong with stating that. You know, a lot of times people say, "Oh well, I can coach this kid just as well as any black guy." No, you can't. That you
Yeah,
know, that's how that's. I feel Cam on that one. That was. I'm glad he brought that up because nobody talks about that. And nobody
Yeah.
wants to address the overrepresentation of white coaches in sports, period. Not just the NFL, not just in college, but all across the board. Once these kids leave from their communities and their high schools, they are now going from being predominantly coached and brought up by what looks like them to a school that's unfamiliar with them in a lot of cases with the PWIs, surrounded by people that don't look like them, coached by people that don't look like them. And nobody talks to the kid and say, well, how does that make you feel? So, Cam gave us a glimpse into, yeah, this is how they really feel.
Yeah, that's interesting, Hot Tub, and I'm glad that he did bring that up, and this is like, this is part of that power of having the new, the new platforms out here where pretty much everybody can speak their mind. Don't necessarily have to go through any red tape to get what they want out. This is something that, you're not going to hear about this like on, the major networks, things like that.
No,
So, so for Cam to have his own platform to be able to do that, that's one of the pluses of this kind of, this new era, kind of like the things that we're doing now too. Touching on topics that we know people are thinking about it, but they're not really bringing it out forth. And there's nothing wrong with bringing these different subjects out and different topics out there because it can help everybody across the globe, across the board. Again, there's white coaches that do that do great work. You know what I'm saying, with black players, etc., and the other way around. Um, but in general, just a natural. Um, it's something that can go without being said. You know what I mean? And you understand where that person come from, uh, what they may go through mentally, uh, culturally, even if it didn't go through you individually, if that person, somebody in your family may have went through something similar, just kind of going through the things that you can understand. And I mean, I would say that that works for all the races. You know what I mean? So my thing here is, let's go back to what Hugh Jackson said on that video right at the very beginning. And Hugh Jackson is now currently, congratulations to Hugh Jackson. He's been on the show before, and we're very thankful for that. But he mentioned, and this was when he was at Grambling, right, at the head coach at Grambling, in Louisiana, as HBCU, and he mentioned how come, the black athletes, student athletes, why can't they just come to HBCUs and get that foundation of what you were just saying, Hot Tub, being in a culture that that is basically backing you, what I'm saying, as far as culturally goes, and the understanding of that. And the majority of the coaches in HBCUs are black. So that, we'll get into more of the whys in a minute, but if you just go from just there, right, just looking at it from the top right there, if Cam went to an HBCU, if he went to Howard, I think his brother went there and played quarterback, or if he went to Grambling or went to FAMU or, or Jackson State, he would have had the black head coach. He would have had the assistants. He would have had the culture around him. Now, he may not have had the financials benefits that he received at playing at Auburn, but he would have had the other things, the internal things, things that the dollar can't buy. So that led me to thinking about this. And of course, it's a long road to getting there. But if you want that kind of backing, why are more of the players not playing there?
I think it's we fell into this area, and this has been going on since the '60s. It's immigration. The white man's ice is cold. We looking at the Alabamas, we looking at the Georgias, we looking at all of these major PWI programs and their track records of success. Not looking at the fact that that success is made off our backs. And we say, well, if Nick Saban could be successful with this individual at Alabama or these individuals, he's obviously able to coach. No, he's not. How do you coach that kid when life happens? What do you say to that child who his best friend back home just got killed? How do you get him to go out there and then perform on the field in spite of the tragedy that's going on in the community that he came from? What do you say to him? And in most cases, most white coaches don't know. But if you have a black coach that comes from those same communities that can express, that can understand his anger, his frustration, his loss of his loss, and then also put it into perspective of where he is now, and also get him to produce on that field, that speaks volume. And that also kind of dovetails into why in the SEC, over half of their assistant coaches are black. You have to have that person on your staff. Well, if you got them on your staff for those specific reasons, not only their knowledge and skill at coaching in the game, but also dealing with players, you need more than one person to do that. And it would make more sense if you had more black head coaches, especially in a program where majority of your players are black. They need somebody in their corner that's advocating for them. And a lot of times, these white coaches do not advocate for our children. They don't advocate for these players. It's produce, 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 produce. You are a workhorse. You are a tool, nothing less. Nothing more, nothing less. And that's not how they should be treated. That's why when they get the chance and go pro, it's harder for a coach, especially a coach coming out of the college arena, to coach them. They don't have to listen to you anymore. You know,
Yeah.
they are grown men. This is no longer an opportunity. This is my job now. This is what I'm being paid to do. So I'm going to go out there and produce because I'm paid for it. Not because you said something to motivate me, not because you were inspiring me in any kind of way. No, I get paid a lot of money to go do this. So I'm gonna do this to that caliber. Same way as you or me going on the job. You know, your manager can't get the best out of you in a lot of cases unless they can relate to you. Those managers that can't relate, hey man, I'm coming in here to do my job. I'm gonna do my job to the letter of the job, nothing more, nothing less. And we see that a lot of times in athletes. You know, they'll go out there and start off with a team. They may be average. You know, I'm coming in, I'm gonna score a couple buckets. In the case of basketball, in the case of football, you know, I'm gonna do my job on this field, and then I'm out. Then they get to a program where they have more in common with the coaching staff, or more in common with the GMs, or and in that organization, you starting to see more faces that look like them, and you notice a higher level of play in those athletes at that point, and that's never been talked about of the
Yeah.
importance of having that. Look at Tampa Bay under
With Dungy,
huh?
we're
Under
talking about
Dungy.
when Coach Dungy was there. Yeah.
When Dungy was there. Dungy
Hmm.
put together one of the best teams I've seen in football, period. And the minute they were on the cusp of winning, they got Tony Dungy up out of there. Now that team he put together still won under Gruden.
Right.
But the following year, what happened?
Yep.
Dismantled the team and could not win the championship after that. Why is that? Because that team was
Yeah.
specifically put together by Tony Dungy. Tony Dungy had a special connection to each one of those players, black and white.
Yeah.
And John Gruden was never able to come in and replicate that.
Man, that kind of reminds me of Mike Tomlin right now. Because even like Brandon Ayuk, there's rumors that he wants to go to Pittsburgh, and I think even Michael Parsons from Dallas Cowboys, I think he was asked a question, a couple months ago, if he was to, play somewhere else, where would it be? And he said Pittsburgh because of head coach Mike Tomlin, and that's kind of giving you that symmetry there. Like, hey, that's that automatically kind of gives you that feeling like, okay, see, he understands. He feels like Tomlin can relate to him. He understands him. He would play for a coach like that. You know what I'm saying? And it's not taken away from other coaches. It's just that that's that natural type of connection and representation, you know, and that is valuable. You know what I'm saying? And that's something that money, money can't buy that. And
No, it can't.
so, you know what I mean? And so I think that a lot of our parents, I think our parents, support systems, um, I even say the HBCUs, and I'll let you talk about that in a minute, need to really step up and combine and collaborate and work and move together because things like this, as Cam is saying, you know, that talent could be utilized at HBCUs. HBCUs are in the same areas as SEC teams, but there's no HBCU in the SEC. Why is that? But there's a ton of percentage, what, 80+%, 90+% probably of black athletes. When you're talking about basketball, football, track, um, you know, that are playing for these money sports in conferences like that. We're just using the SEC for example because we're in this area. So why is that? Why is it the players can be there, but there's no school there? See, these schools are not black schools. You may have the black players, but it's not a black school. It's
Hmm.
90% white, 10% black. But HBCUs are the other way around. 90% black student base, 10% non. You know what I'm saying? So why is that? Why do we not look at things like that as a culture? You know what I mean? It seems like we tend to go with, okay, who's got who's giving us the most money, or who's giving us the most this or that, and individually we'll do that, but not move collectively and balance things out. I think you get a major shift in both realms if we stand up. You know what I'm saying? Like there, when the culture stands up for something, things change. Remember the Washington Redskins, right? That's been going on for decades about the name and this and
Hmm.
that. But then something major happens, a couple years ago around COVID, around the pandemic time, and all of a sudden the name can change to Commanders. You know what I'm saying? Like that could have happened years ago. So it's just like, for me, like what Cam is saying, now take that and talk to parents, talk to athletes coming up, 4 or 5 star athletes, talk to them, about that culture and how you felt and how it was when you went through that. And advocate like, hey, you know, don't just choose where they're gonna give me the most money. And I know this sounds crazy, but in order to fix something, there's gotta be some sacrifice across the board. You know what I'm saying? And then when you get that fixed, it's gonna help generations down the line.
Well, that
So
that right there, the point that you're making, that's a
yeah,
hard pill to swallow for a
it is.
family, for especially when you're dealing with a family. What pushes most athletes? What pushes most young people into athletics? It's the parents, and the parents are
Yep.
looking for a way to ensure financial stability for those children. And as we've seen, we overrepresented sports because that's been the fastest way for us to attain generational
Hmm.
wealth is through athletics, through our natural God given talents. So if we seeing that doing right by our community and going to these HBCUs and supporting black, but it doesn't have the outcome of generating that money that going to this PWI, which is basically a fast track into the NFL, which is a lot of that's their ultimate goals. Then they're going to choose the route that's been proven to work time and time again. I think what the HBCU system has to do is work less with the college system, work less with the NCAA, and start to correspond directly with the NFL. Build a program to where you're basically a farm league for the NFL, just like the PWIs. You can negotiate a separate contract with them to say, hey, we have talent over here. Just come look at our talent. Because a lot of times nobody's looking at these HBCU games from the pros. Nobody's taking into account the level of athleticism over on that side of the house. And I understand why the kids is coming out smaller. They're considered the second tier athletes. But you got
Right.
a lot of talent over there. You got a lot of natural talent over there. that's not
Yeah.
being tapped, and they don't have the resources to bulk up the kids like the PWIs do. You know, they don't have the nutrition program set up for them. You gonna eat this. This is gonna put the maximum amount of lean muscle on you to get you this size for your position going into the NFL. But if those bridges were made from the HBCU straight to the NFL to say, hey, why don't you give us a look and invest in us, invest in our
Invest.
future,
Yep.
help
Yep.
us to put out more athletes that are going straight towards you because you need the college system. And right now, the NFL is that it's not like the NBA where I can get a kid straight out of high school if he's good enough, or I can get a kid from overseas if he's good enough. It's you either got to come out of that NCAA or nothing, which puts the NFL at a disadvantage. If you think about it,
Yeah.
you know you're beholden to whatever the whims of the NCAA is. Well, we're in a new era now. We paying athletes. So that's going. We're not seeing it yet, but what that's going to do is trickle onto the professional side. Why should I sign this minimum contract for you to play in the NFL when I was just making more money than that for the last 4 years, 3 to 4 years in the NCAA? You're gonna see a lot of these athletes that'll never even go into professional sports. They will be college 4 years and done because they made the money that they can make.
Exactly.
You know, you think the average life expectancy of most NFL athletes, no matter what positions, it's only certain positions last more than 5 years.
Yep.
So this player can basically say, okay, I can have less wear and tear on my body. When I'm done, I'm done because they've played these sports since they were, 5 or 6 years old. Their bodies are a mess at that time. By the time they get to the pros, yes, they're at the peak of their performance, but they the time what they call it the time clock is ticking. So you're gonna have to. The NFL hasn't realized that yet, but they're gonna realize it in the next, I say, 5 to 10 years. You're gonna start seeing that. You're gonna start seeing those star quarterbacks that were in college say, "Okay, I'm done." And where are they gonna end up? Writing, commentating, or coaching.
Yep. Yeah, man, that's true, man. And only like 1% make it to the pros anyway. So
Hmm.
out of all these players that are playing, only 1% get there. Just looking at the draft the last 2 seasons, I think there may have been one or two from HBCUs that were actually drafted. But then you look at players on the field, like you got Durant over in he played at South Carolina State and he's playing for the Rams. He played in the Super Bowl, had some big plays in the Super Bowl. You got Dallas Cowboys. They have a player from FAMU that plays in their secondary, and so on and so forth. I mean, the Philadelphia Eagles with D lineman, Pro Bowl level. Uh, it's just like there's players throughout the league, and if you look at them, a lot of them came undrafted, but they were talented enough. So for them to even be undrafted, that goes back to what you're saying about not being looked at enough. You know what I'm saying? Like they're not
Hmm.
being really looked at because of, it's not the big name. It's not it's not on the marquee. And so it's like a lot of these players get overlooked. But when you do get to see them and they get in there, however they get in there, what I'm saying? I'm like Bronny James, but they come in, they get in the hard way, and they finally get looked at, they hang around, you know what I'm saying? And then they make impact in the league. What's his name? Leonard, Darius Leonard. I think he was playing for the Colts and he got that huge payday, became an all pro. Another
Hmm.
player from South Carolina State. Matter of fact, South Carolina State has more Hall of Famers in the NFL than the University of South Carolina. And see, these are things that people in our culture don't really pay attention to and don't realize. But like the talent, we're the ones that move the needle. I mean, just simply looking at the numbers, we move the needles. Throughout the years. Let's go back to University of Alabama. And I know there's a lot of people who are Alabama Crimson Tide fans, and nothing against that, but there was a time where they did not allow. They weren't the only school, but they didn't allow black athletes to play. But when they saw what happened with USC and how they allowed blacks to play on their team, you saw what look at Alabama now. You see what I'm
Mm-hmm.
saying? So like those players could have been at Alabama State, Alabama A&M, Tuskegee, all these historic schools. But our mindset is if I'm 4-star, if I'm 5-star, then I have to go to these schools. I have to. But really, you still can get drafted. Let's go back to 1974. Ed Too Tall Jones, great Dallas Cowboy defensive lineman, number one pick in the entire draft. In the entire draft, Tennessee State University, the number one pick in the draft. Even the Heisman winner, the quarterback that won the Heisman that year, didn't go number one. Ed Too Tall Jones did. So it can happen. It has happened. You know what I'm saying? So there's ways to collaborate and make things, change the game a little bit. And then going back to Cam Newton, if you're saying you want the culture, you want, people that look like you, can think like you, relate to you a little more, then it's there. So I know we're gonna get more into that as the weeks go by and how to, our thoughts on how to get it that way. And I like what you said about tying it to the NFL. Like, hey, take that brand, tie it to the NFL, make
Before
it
before
a
before we
pipeline,
leave,
right?
before we leave this topic, I want to
Yes,
say
sir.
this, and I'm hoping somebody get this to the NFL from a business standpoint in this new era. And I keep reflecting on the NIL era because it's a lot of money that's getting ready to funnel into college sports. This is the tip of the iceberg of what we're seeing. It's going to be so costly for the NFL to operate and to get the talent that they want to get coming out of college that it would make from a financial standpoint, it would make more sense to draft more from the HBCU side that don't get those big NIL deals while they're in college. Because it's not going to, you can pay them the league minimum and they'll be grateful. You are not going to be able to pay the next quarterback coming out of UGA, next quarterback coming out of Michigan State, Ohio State, all of these big programs. You're not going to be able to, in big successful programs, you're not going to be able to pay them league minimum. I don't care what they say because those kids are going to say, no, you know what, I'm good. I made my money. I'll invest it. That's going to start. You're going to start seeing that. What if this kid has invested their money wisely they 4 years? Where does that leave you as a professional team? You have nobody to pick from. So you either get the second string out of those schools to come in, or you can get the stars out of this HBCU. And that's what they have to start looking at. It's the old way of thinking is done. These players are smarter. These agents are smarter. The parents are smarter, and they want to maximize the earning potential for their children. It's time that the NFL catches up to what's going on because this directly affects you. So I think this is if they don't wake up and get ahead of this, it's going to be a missed opportunity for them, and it's going to cost them a lot of money in the long run.
All right. Hey man, let's see what happens.
Let's see.
Definitely want to see what happens, man. All right, man. There's so much more we could talk about on that, but we're going to shift into our second topic of the day, and that's Skip Bayless. It was announced a couple of days ago that he's gonna him and FS1 Fox Sports One, they're gonna part ways, and the Undisputed show, the flagship show for Fox Sports One, is gonna fade off. And I want to get your thoughts on why you think that's the case, and then also, is it the end of an era, Hot Tub? Because and I know what I mean by that, but I want you to explain that to the 411 Nation as well. So
You
let's
know,
talk
I'd be
about
glad to say
Skip
that
Bayless.
I am glad to say the quiet part out loud. Yes, this signals the end of the era of the white sports commentators talking about professional sports, especially the ones who have never played it on a professional level. Skip Bayless. A lot can be said about Skip Bayless. Skip Bayless has been a scumbag his whole career. This is me talking. This is not reflective of Mr. 411 Network. It's strictly Hot Tub Talking's opinion. They brought you on to talk bad about black athletes. And you have done that job for decades. You know, going even back to his time as a sports writer. Skip Bayless, if there is a top tier black athlete, Skip Bayless is gonna be there to tear him down. And he has his favorites now. He has his ones and twos that he's gonna give a glowing review on them. But you saw how he basically disrespected Shannon Sharp. And he fell out with Stephen A. Smith the same way as well. This has been his trend to come in and talk bad about black athletes and keep his co-hosts in line. The co-hosts that he's have had either extensive sport journalism background or they've played on a professional level at some point in time. So their knowledge of the game is vastly superior to the likes of a Skip or of a Max Kellerman. You know, why do we need you? We don't. Let's be clear. The NFL, the NBA, their fan base is overly represented by black people. And it's nothing wrong with us demanding representation that looks like us, but that puts ESPN, that puts Fox Sports, that puts these major outlets at a dilemma. How do we talk bad about these black athletes without us seeming racist? Well, they figured that out with the likes of Stephen A. Smith, Jason Whitlock. They don't need Emmanuel Acho. They pay them a lot of money to come on there and bash black athletes so they can keep their hands clean. They don't need you no more, Skip. They don't need your type no more. They got they bought and paid for bootlegs. So it's the end of an era as far as I'm concerned. Now you'll still see them, especially on they dominate Major League Baseball, and we don't talk about that. But you'll still see them commentating on football. But as far as basketball goes, oh no, it's it for them.
Yeah.
I would be surprised if you see another one. And if we do eventually see another come up, not one that's already been in broadcasting, that's been doing this, which they keep recycling the same 2 or 3 over and over again, but a new one that they bring up, they're going to have a professional sports background. You're going to have to get them from that because they no longer have any legitimacy, especially within the black community. We've been looking at Skip Bayless sideways, and you can put on as many Jordans and gold chains as you want, Skip. That don't make you us. And that doesn't give you any level of legitimacy. What did Kendrick say? They not like us. That's a perfect example of they not like us. I would take so now. If you remember before ESPN had you know I'm talking the
Who's that?
Stuart Scott
Yeah.
changed sports broadcasting forever when they bringing it in. Before, when you had all white commentary, it was stiff. It was they tell you what's going on, but there was no excitement in there. That man brought a level of excitement into it. And since then, we see more and more of our people going into it. And the way sports is commentated has changed dramatically over the last 40 years. To the point these kids don't understand what it was like prior to that era, prior to the Stuart Scott era. They don't know. Sports
Yeah.
was sports was on the evening news. It was the last thing they showed before they cut the TV off for the night. It was bored. That was
Yeah.
that bored. Nobody cared about it. You give me the scores, give me a brief summary of it, and then I'm going to bed. Not anymore. When
Yeah.
you got your ESPN, and even before that with ESPN, what would they show? You had Sports Center, then you watching, strongman contests. When we stepped in the game, now you can run those programs all day, every day, 24/7. Because it's one thing we as black men like to do is talk sports, and we do it in a way that's exciting, that's trendy, that you're not
Yeah.
going to get from the likes of Skip Bayless. Skip Bayless changed the way he talked because of his black co-host. And he came out the bag with Shannon Sharp. When he disrespected Shannon Sharp, I knew it. I said it then. I said, that's it for him. Because when Shannon Sharp left, who else you going to get? Because his
Yeah.
ego won't let him be challenged.
Well, see,
And
and that's where. Oh, but go ahead. Finish your thought
no,
there,
go
Chuck.
ahead.
Yeah, because and I will say this with Skip, right? I think he is is like it's two or three things in here that kind of roll into the end of it. And one is he comes from the era where you had the reporters. Stephen A. Smith is in that era too. So
Yes, he
he
is.
was Philadelphia Inquirer and other that. And then he worked his way up, after doing, lesser roles and then eventually getting the big role with ESPN. But like the Michael Wilbons and Tony Kornhauser and all those guys, and they all came from that sports reporter type era where you was, when it was more about getting the newspaper and reading about articles and things like that, and then they transitioned into the, sports talk era. Uh, we are long gone from that era. You know what I'm saying? It's more so now just turn on your social media page and go through your timeline and get your updates. So that type of reporting is not really needed. And then the angles that they allow those guys come from, I can appreciate it. I like it, but I also like the newer era as well of, and for me when I say newer era, it's going back what you said about like with Stuart Scott, and that kind of thing. But also another era has come along where it's more of the athletes that are being put, in these positions now. So now you're getting, it's like the majority of the analysts now are the sports talk show hosts, co-hosts. They're the athletes now. It's more of the athletes being a part of it more than ever. Because it used to be a panel of, you have the X player here, the X player there, but then you have your Bob Costas and all those kind of guys, saying on the panels for the most part. So he's kind of it's just kind of got stale. You know what I mean? It's stale that and it's got a little older now and played out. And then when he did lose that Shannon Sharp, he for the last I don't know 10 years or so he had the Stephen A. Smith personality to go against his personality. You had the Shannon Sharp personality to go against yours. And then once that ended, look who he's brought in. He hasn't really brought in that personality to to counterbalance his. You
And
know what I mean? And
I'd say,
and
you know
that
why he hasn't
that
done that?
really ended. Why is that?
Because Shannon Sharp challenged him. Skip
Yeah.
Bayless never wanted to be challenged.
Mm-hmm.
Look at how he folded when Jalen Rose challenged him.
Mm-hmm.
When he was making those disrespectful comments to Jalen Rose, I think this was in 2008, if I ain't mistaken, but I still remember it. When Jalen Rose brought up the fact that you never played on the high level, and when you did play, you were JV averaging 1.4 points a game. That embarrassed the hell out of Skip Bayless.
Yeah.
What he
Yeah.
was
And that's
saying,
that.
I'll talk about it. I'll talk about it. Never talked about
And see, that's going back to where the players, and even beyond Jalen Rose, which I'm surprised why he's not on anymore, but I think we kind of know why. But see, that's an athlete, and see, it's flooded with athletes now. When you turn the channel on, that they're the ones doing most of the talk shows now. So his style is, unless he finds a personality that can really be the one that's going to draw, because that's basically what he's doing. He's finding somebody who draws, and then he'll go against them. And now you got the back and forth. See, the people he's been bringing in lately, like Keyshawn Johnson, I don't think that was the right call. If you watch him, Keyshawn, he kind of, to me, he kind of waffles a little bit, and it's just not there. He doesn't have that Shannon Sharp in him, uh, to go up against him. Now he tried with Paul Pierce, but he don't. I don't think he brings Paul Pierce in all the time. And then the Richard Sherman one, who I thought was going to be the guy, it looks like they got rid of him. You know what I'm saying? Like, because I ain't seen him in months. So, what you think about that?
It's because Skip did not want another Shannon Sharp. You did not want to bring on somebody who
Yeah,
potentially could outshine him. So with you bringing in people that are going to softball it and let you get away with all the slick talk you do, you made your show boring because now it becomes the echo chamber for you and your talking points. Nobody
yeah,
wants to hear Skip talk.
yeah.
The average sports consumer don't give a fuck what Skip Bayless got to say. Excuse my language.
No,
They
you
don't
good.
care. They don't care what Skip Bayless got to say. We don't care about your takes on this. Because let's be clear, a lot of your little hot takes, Skip Bayless, are low key racist. And now outwardly they tipping that line. So we don't want to hear that no more. And then when we're talking about social issues that affect these players, they want people want to hear from people that look like them, that are going through, that are on the street going through these things. We want to hear from the athletes that look like us. What's your opinion on this that your people going through? You can't get that from Skip Bayless.
Right.
You got that from a Shannon Sharp. That's what made us. That's what made Shannon Sharp successful. Is when Shannon Sharp came in the game, Shannon Sharp didn't have no filter. Shannon Sharp would speak on issues, and he would speak on the issues from a black man point of view. Now he's starting to soften that up. There's more money that they shoveling to him. He's starting to change that.
Yeah.
But even old Club Shay Shay, he still he'll address that. He'll address certain
Yeah.
issues. He ain't softballing it on the interviews most
Yeah.
of the time.
Hey
So
man, you remember?
there's no lane for Skip Bayless anymore.
Yeah, yeah. I think that era is kind of, that era is gone, man, and that's it's the end of an era, and that's what it is.
And good riddance.
Thing, things change. Yep.
Good,
All right.
good riddance. I'm not saying we don't need white sports commentators,
Right.
but at least let them come from the sports that they're talking about. And if they don't need them in the aspect of being critical of the black athletes, because like I said before, you get your black people to do that now. Jason Whitlock,
Yeah.
Jason Whitlock, that made a career of that,
Hey,
and he
he's
don't
very
believe
good.
he don't believe half the stuff he's saying. He say it for
Hey,
shock value because if I give this point of view, it's gonna sell. I'm gonna get them casual racists to come in. They gonna support my platform, and
I
it's
tell
more
you,
palatable when it comes from somebody who, if you're criticizing black people, it's more palatable coming from a black person. We're less inclined to give you pushback, which give
man.
them carte blanche to say a whole lot of reckless stuff about the people that look like them. Ain't no lane for you. Ain't no lane for Steve. Skip Bayless anymore.
What? Hey, and what about this? We're hearing that his name just slipped me, but he's supposed to be coming back to ESPN. We talked about him in the pre-show.
Max
Uh,
Kellerman.
Max Kellerman, yeah. There's rumor that he's going to make a return. After the riff he had with Stephen A. Smith, pretty much got him out of ESPN. And it seems like Max is coming back. Um, th- really can't think of too many uh white, sports talk hosts, analysts that are out there right now. And then, as you mentioned, also in our pre-show meeting about Ernie Johnson, with the NBA on TNT, with that possibly going away, I think Ernie will be fine because he'll land like baseball or he'll land somewhere else because he's very good. He has different sports options that he can go. But man, that I'm trying to scan through the dome here, and I'm just trying to find out where everybody's at as far as these talk shows. Um, what do you think, man? You think Max can come back and he basically be the new Skip? with a different flavor.
They'll always be on the smaller platforms. You'll see them a lot on the smaller platforms. But as far as the major outlets go, you're not going to see it no more. They're going to be few and far between. And if Max Kellerman does in fact come back, I don't think his stint coming back is going to be long at all anyway.
Yeah.
I think that era of how sports broadcasting is done is over with. And unless you're talking in a sports that represents their demographics, your golf, your baseball, your tennis, okay, yeah, they're going to always, as long as those sports are predominantly uh, played by those individuals, they're going to have a lane for them to fall back to. But when it comes to the big three, I think they done, bro.
All right.
The
The
big
king of
two.
controversy. The king of controversy. Hot tub Tony.
Huh?
You always bringing it. Always bringing it. All right. Well, hot tub. We still have one more topic. Uh, Cam Newton again. Okay, and he brought up another point, and this basically ties into what we just discussed as far as Skip Bayless and sports commentary. So we were talking about the sports as far as the talk show angle of it. But here's what Cam Newton had to say about the sports commentary selection process. So let's hear what he has to say. It's a minute and 32 seconds, and then we'll talk about that before we go today.
When I see a guy like Tom Brady signs a 10-year contract worth $375 million. Greg Olson, $3 million contract annually as a commentator. Tony Romo, 10 years, $180 million. Troy Aikman, $18.5 million contract annually.
Correct.
Because I'm always going to tell Tom Brady, Tony Romo, Greg Olson, Troy Aikman, Matt Ryan to go get the bag.
Yes, sir.
From one player, former player, to another former player. I'm not hating that. What I am doing is saying how in the world are they the only ones that's getting access to these type of contracts. Because somebody told me, they say, well, you don't get these contracts because you're not polished yet.
Who's to
What
say?
type of media training did Tony Romo have before he just popped up and started commentating the games as the number one guy? This ain't 3 and 4. This is, and he does a damn good job.
He does.
Tom Brady, same thing. Like I ain't never seen Tom Brady cover or commentate.
Behind the shadows is not
Understood though. But that's also.
But they skipped the line of a lot of people.
That is my point. How can we get other minorities to skip the line too?
All right, Tug, you heard it. What you think?
I heard him. I agree with him 100%. And I'm gonna say the quiet part out loud. That's a celebration of white mediocrity. You do have more charismatic people that are more knowledgeable, more media savvy. Richard Sherman is one. But give me 1 second. That could get these big contracts. But unfortunately, those large contracts are reserved for commentators of a certain persuasion, shall we say. And that it's blatant. They playing in our face right now. They really are. You mean to tell me Cam got one of the best talk shows on social media, on YouTube right now? He couldn't call a game. He's not media savvy. He doesn't know how to talk. And let's be clear. Before they put a Romo, before they put a Brady in those positions, they're getting all kind of classes on how to be a sports commentator. They're bringing in people that teach them how to do this. But our athletes don't have access to those people. The networks are reserving those strictly for who they want. Then you see it. Old, white, retired quarterbacks. That's what we want. Tony Romo was a subpar quarterback who couldn't win a playoff game. You brought John Gruden in. John Gruden was a one-time NFL championship head coach with a team that wasn't his. I'm calling what it is, bruh. White welfare. That's
Hot
what it
tub
is.
Tony. Yeah, and I'll say this, like, I do like the commentary of Romo. It's good commentary work. But we gotta, also be fair about it. Like, where did he come from? Where did all this? How did he get that gig? I'm thinking about a Warren Moon that comes to mind. Like, I think Warren Moon, great quarterback.
Mm-hmm.
I know he does, like, for the Seahawks, he did that at one time. He was like, play, commentary, color commentary for the Seahawks and their games and their broadcast. I think he's probably done it for some other teams. But as far as being on CBS or, NBC or something like that, being on the main level like this, I think, where's the Warren Moons? We see Michael Vick has been on the pregame shows, but, what about during the game? Uh, there's quarterbacks that come to mind that I think have a great football mind and they can also be in these positions. Um, it's very interesting to see. Maybe we can come up with some solutions to that hot tub on a future episode. But Cam bringing this up, we'll see if he gets that opportunity. Do you think Cam should even get that one of those spots right now?
Well, he's proven he's a presence on TV. He has a great personality. People are listening to him. People are watching his program. People are taking into account what he's saying. Look at us. We're talking about what Cam Newton said. We just expounding on topics that he brought to light. I think he'd be a great fit for it. And truth be told, I say these sports networks needs to bring in these black athletes to do the commentating and get them a shot and let the people tell you who they want. Watch your ratings. Put them on there and put your Romos, put your Brady's. Now Tom Brady, I say an exception. Tom Brady has a personality that's larger than life. He's one of those
Yeah.
figures that cannot be denied his greatness.
Hmm.
So I think he's going to be very successful, and I think he may be the one that I would consider worth that money. Matt
Oh yeah.
Ryan, no, absolutely not. And this is coming from a Falcon fan, lifelong. Now, I got my opinions on Matt Ryan, and I will get them on another show. But I don't think if you get that shot, if you give Matt Ryan that shot versus a Cam Newton, I think your ratings will show that Cam Newton is the better pick out of that as in sports commentating and in quarterback. It irritates me the set asides that are given to the unearned benefits that are given to some communities versus others. When I say
Yeah.
just put them out there, yeah, I don't care who you get. I don't care what race they are. Put them out there. Let the fans decide who they want to listen to.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Oh, big shout out there. We got a comment there from EK. And we definitely appreciate EK for his comment and
Oh yeah.
appreciate him tuning in and all his other people tuning in. Make sure you hit that subscribe button, 411 Sports World Network on YouTube, also Instagram, Mr. 411. And we definitely appreciate the comments. And we do have open door policy. So, if you're interested in being on, let us know and we'll bring the fans in. We're open to do that and have those discussions. So yeah, we bring up topics that normally are not on the mainstream, and it's not to take away from one or the other. It's just to bring it up and have those real talk. So we definitely appreciate that. All right, there it is. Watch us on 41 Sports World Network. Hot tub closing remarks, and then we're gonna roll out.
Hey man, I think it's the end of an era as far as the Skip Bayless situation, and I'm glad to see what it's over with, and curious to see what's coming next. But support your smaller outlets. If you're tired of these disparities that we spoke of, come on over here and support networks like this. Support Mr. Sports World 411. This man has a whole entire network. He covers every single professional sport, including wrestling. So I think that this something that should be highlighted. We can do our own thing. We don't have to go to the majors for everything. So support your local smaller black media outlets such as this. Hey man, you'd be surprised what you get out of it. But other than
That's
that,
right.
I'm hot tub Tony, man. I'm out, bro.
Hey man, and check out Hot Tub Tony now. He's on all the social media networks too. The one and only Hot Tub
The one
Tony.
and only
Uh,
hot tub Tony on TikTok and Instagram and Facebook. I'm not yet on
Absolutely.
Twitter, but I get there eventually.
Yeah. Oh, you on the TikTok too now, right?
Oh yeah, I got TikTok now.
Yeah. So make sure you follow like I am too. Because man, the King of Controversy brings up great topics, and that's why we love to have him on the 41 Sports World Network. All right. Also check out the Nard Report. The Nard Report, NARD. That young man is doing great things out there. He's on all platforms. And also Cole from the Low. That's COLOH from the Low, right? Cole from the Low. So Low is LOH. So make sure you check out Cole for the Low. He's on all networks as well, all social media networks as well. So yeah, like you said, how to check us all out. And this is from the ground level, so that's what you want. You want to hear what the real fans have to say about what's going on in the sports world. All right, we thank everybody. So for Hot Tub Tony, I'm Mr. 411. Enjoy the rest of your day, and we'll catch you next week with another hot topic. See ya.
Peace.